Good morning. My name is Kathy Weber, and welcome to First Congregational Church of Sonoma. We're happy to have you here.
The Book of Numbers, chapter 21, verses 4 through 9. From Mount Ozer they set out by the way to the Red Sea, to go around the land of Edom. But the people became impatient on the way. The people spoke against God and against Moses. Why have you brought us out of Egypt to die in this wilderness? For there is no food and no water, and we detest this miserable food. Then the Lord sent poisonous serpents among the people, and they bit the people, so that many Israelites died. The people came to Moses and said, "We have sinned by speaking against the Lord and against you. Pray to the Lord to take away the serpents from us." So Moses prayed for the people. And the Lord said to Moses, "Make a poisonous serpent and set it on a pole, and everyone who is bitten shall look at it and live." So Moses made a serpent of bronze and put it upon a pole. And whenever a serpent bit someone, that person would look at the serpent of bronze and live.
I've been really trying for the last couple of weeks to write a sermon about rage. I realized as I struggled with the concept that this is not an easy topic for me. I was taught as a young person that girls and women were not supposed to rage. And if they did, there would be a price to pay. So I kept a pretty tight lid on those feelings. I don't get very angry often. I can't really remember a time when I raged. What I was not taught, and what I hope I can reinforce today, is that rage, like anger, like grief, is not to be feared. But it can be a critically important component to unleashing creativity and helping us think about solutions to problems that have dogged us for ages. Now, this is a pretty big shift, I think, especially for women, especially for church-going women, because rage does not have a place in predominantly white churches. I was trying to come up with a hymn that reflected rage. I looked through several hymnals, couldn't find a single thing. The psalmists rage, but we haven't picked up on their cue. Jesus rages, but we don't sing about it. And in our liturgies, we have joys and concerns. We don't rage. What if good Protestant church folk could learn to embrace the importance of divine rage as a key piece to moving through painful things that divide us. Learn to see it as a resource that could bring us back together in new and hopeful ways. Each week of this Lenten journey, we have been dipping into the elements of Valerie Kerr's recipe for a love revolution based on her book called See No Stranger. The goal of this work is to reclaim our interconnectedness without the demands of having to agree or see eye to eye, but with the goal of seeing one another's common humanity. We have explored wonder and grief. We have explored the need to tend to our own woundedness before seeking to heal with others. And as we follow along Kerr's recipe for heart healing, rage is high on the list of ingredients. So we start with a few ground rules for raging, or being an ally to someone else who needs to feel their rage. We start by establishing a safe space, right? We need to create a physical location where it can all come out and the person who is raging or the person who is witnessing the rage don't get hurt. If we're supporting someone who needs to rage, we need to get clear that it's not our job to fix it. Right? Rage needs to be felt, not fixed. And it's important to recognize, I think, that rage most often doesn't have a specific target. It's usually not one person who's responsible for our rage. Sometimes it is. But most often, rage reveals an accumulation of frustrations against systematic injustices. Think about the Black Lives Matter movement, or the National Women's March, or the Me Too movement. Significantly, all of these efforts have made space for people to feel their rage. As rage allies, we've got some work to do to get comfortable with the discomfort that may arise around other people's rage, right? Call back Resma Menaken's advice that there's a difference between danger and discomfort. As white allies, we have to get more comfortable increasing our ability to sit with our discomfort if the goal is to witness someone else's rage in an effort that they might know greater healing. There's a difference between danger and discomfort. Let me pause briefly to differentiate between all-consuming rage and divine rage. There's a huge difference. Rage for the sake of rage looks a lot like people who hurt other people. That's blind fury. The aim of divine rage is not vengeance. The aim of divine rage is to reorder the world. The aim of divine rage is to reorder the world. In today's passage, although I think snakes are a little drastic, God seeks to reorder the world of the Israelites. They are pissing and moaning about Moses, their leader, who's trying to shepherd them into freedom, and God rages on Moses' behalf. And guess what? As a result of God's rage, the Israelites redirect. They reconsider. They come up with creative solutions, and they find their way. In fact, in this passage, in this telling of this story, God's rage is responsible for the salvation of the Israelites in that moment. Expressions of divine rage can enable us to think our way into creative solutions, but we have to be able to feel the feelings first. Rage carries important information. It carries important information about us and for us. So we have to learn to harness it, not to be afraid of it, but to harness it. Because sometimes divine rage is what gets things done. I'm remembering the Freedom March, and Cesar Chavez and the farm workers strike, and Stonewall, and the removal of the Confederate monuments, and the Occupy movement. Valerie Kerr says to rage is to honor and tend to our pain, so that the trauma does not hijack our ability to see another's humanity. Rage, like grief, takes a long time to process. We might need to process rage from years ago. And at sometimes we might feel like we're not making any progress at all. It's in those moments we have to rely on the slow rhythm of healing, more Chronos time, God time, than Kairos time, our time. There's such a close relationship between grief and rage, isn't there? Such a close relationship, and so much bravery is required to feel the range of these emotions. I think that's our work right now in this Lenten journey, to increase our range of emotions, of feelings, so that we don't have to deny ourselves access to our full humanity or anyone else's full humanity. So let's be brave. Brave enough to feel that range. Brave enough to accompany other people as they feel that range of emotion. I'd like to leave you with a prayer that was written by Cole Arthur Riley, who created something called Black Liturgies. It's a project that seeks to integrate concepts of dignity and grace. So I'll invite you to take a good deep breath. God of holy rage, too often we fear that to allow for anger is to become less like you. Let us meet the God of the prophets, you who tells the truth, you who holds the fury at injustice in a world where powerful terrorize the marginalized, exploit people and the land. Would you help us to become more faithful discerners of when to calm and when to rage, rejecting the anger which leads to bitterness and hatred of other, yet tapping into righteous rage when that which you've created is under abuse or neglect. The dignity of creation demands our emotions. Make ours a beautiful rage. Amen.